So Pallet Pete started this thread over at firewoodhoardersclub.com. He was asking, what's the real reason you like to cut firewood? Well, this got me to thinking, why do any of us have a hobby? You know, it just makes you feel good. I started cutting because we couldn't afford to keep the house warm. Gas company wants a fortune. It costs about $600 a month in the dead of winter to keep this big thing warm. And so we were running the furnace at about 50 degrees, and we were still paying a small fortune just to try not to freeze to death. We were having problems with the freezer keeping up. We actually found out that with the new type of Freon, our freezer wouldn't even keep foods frozen if the temperature got less than 55 degrees. So we started talking about putting in a wood stove. My dad had a wood stove when I was a kid, and my grandpa, my uncles. In fact, early part of my life, I didn't even realize you could just turn up a thermostat to warm your house. I just figured everyone burnt wood. And my brother moved in across the street from me, and he got Dad's old wood stove and put it in his house. And he's a roofer, so when the time came, he was the one who actually installed the chimney, at least the above the roof part. And we picked up a little low-pi answer off of Craigslist. And that served us pretty well over the course of that first year. But we didn't have any seasoned wood, so we ended up picking out of a dumpster outside the back of a pallet company. I mean, at least we didn't freeze. After that first year, I started getting involved in these online forums and found this little firewood hoarders club and started picking up all the details of how to process wood and make sure that's dry enough and the 3-year plan and all that stuff. And so now we're well on our path. Our wood this year is less than ideal, but by next year we'll be burning stuff that's fully seasoned, and we will be doing that hopefully for the rest of our lives. So my brother was talking about this place outside town, called it the tree dump. And whenever someone has a tree cut down, companies that cut down will take them out, take the remains of the trees out to the tree dump, and just leave them there in chunks. And so his first year up here, he was going out there and cutting, but he's got buddies now who find places for them to cut, so I've kind of taken over cutting at our local tree dump. And then I heard that there was one at our county seat, and we've been heading out there. That's where most of our firewoods come from. And it's kind of like a scavenger hunt when you go out there. We pick through it and, throw the pine aside, and, oh, look, here's some mulberry. Here's some locust. I remember one time we were grabbing locust out of there, and we thought there was just a little bit, and we'd pull a piece off the top, and there'd be a bunch of brush under it. And we get to looking, and it wasn't actually a bunch of brush. It was another giant pile of locust with just a little bit of brush on top of it. And we keep pulling it out. We weren't even sure what it was at that point, but we started calling it the giving tree because the more we pull out, the more it seemed like there was. And it just kept piling up. We ended up getting a full pickup truck off of that. We had a truck and trailer that day, and we went around and found a bunch of mulberry around the corner. We brought back a lot of less than ideal woods as well. We brought back quite a bit of silver maple, a little bit of elm, which, although is a really good burning wood, I don't particularly care for working with it. Even brought back a big load of box elder, which, say what you will, it's been one of our most reliable woods this year because it dried really fast and it takes off really good, and so we can get our fire going good and hot and just build on it from there. So I try to throw a little bit of box elder in every batch just to get it going so we don't have to sit there and fight it. And, the more I go out there, the more we're digging through it, and we come back and we take pictures and we upload them to Firewood Hoarders Club. And if we don't know what they are, we get the other guys to help us identify what they are. And so it's just kind of feeding the beast. We find out more about it, and then when someone puts up a picture of a piece of white ash, I now know what that looks like, and so I see someone put that up, and I can tell them what it is. You know, we're just paying it forward. So I decided for Father's Day this year I was going to give Dad the old low price answer. We picked up a newer stove this fall that was on clearance and got a really good deal on it. And we weren't sure what we were going to do with the answer, so he was kind of looking like he wanted to get back into burning firewood, and so we hooked that up in his garage. He runs pellets inside the house. Anyway, because of that, we headed out to the tree dump. That's the day I got all that locust. And we found a bunch of red elm out there that was already down to a reasonable moisture level. And so we cut that up and filled up his truck with that. And we were walking around, and he picks up this piece of apple wood, I think it was. Might have been cherry. And he asked me to come over and points to a couple places and has me cut it along those lines. And he holds it up and says, you know, this is going to be a cane. And ever since that day, he's been finding sticks and making nice canes out of them. Lately, he's been carving animals and whatnot into them. He's recently retired, so it's good that he's finding some new hobbies. He's actually going to watch this video, I'm sure, because he's got a Roku in his garage where he's got his wood burner, and we've installed the channel on that so he can kind of keep an eye on what we're doing as well. But that was just a really fun day because, you know, Mom and Dad were out there cutting and kind of going around and trying to identify woods for me to come up behind them and cut, and we'd load them up into the truck. And Mom was digging around, and she found a branch that had apples still on it, so we had some apples for lunch, and it was just a beautiful day. I would encourage anyone to go ahead and check with their city hall and check out their county seat and even nearby towns and find out if any of those towns have a tree dump. It's a really good resource for both people who want to get rid of firewood off of their property, just had a tree cut down or something, or for people who need to get firewood and bring it home. And just being able to dig through there and learning how to identify it by the bark or the few leaves that are left on a tree, it's just invaluable to have those skills. A lot of us don't really get outside anymore. It's hard to almost pry a modern man out of his own house. Doesn't want to leave the air conditioning and go out there in the wild heat of summer. But it's good for us to get out and see the outdoors and deal with nature, cut down a bit of it. Actually work at cutting up firewood and splitting it. Actually making something out of nothing instead of just paying a man to come drop off gas or pay the company to pipe natural gas to us. I mean, there wasn't propane and there wasn't a natural gas pipe that went to everyone's house until recently. I don't even know if that was an option back in my great-grandfather's day. And the kids, just as much as us, need to get outside, get off their video games, get off their phones, and learn skills. You know, we spent all summer teaching my kids how to stack firewood so it won't fall over. You know, the first few times it fell over, they got to stack it all over again. They started paying attention and taking a little bit of pride in their work. By the end of the summer, I had my daughter learn to cross stack. My son was stopping the other two kids when they were about to put down a piece that would make the whole thing wobbly. Because he didn't want to have to do it all over again. And he put himself in charge. He almost made himself a foreman. Because he wasn't going to let them do a bad job that was going to cost them and, you know, cost them the free time that they had. And once they got outside, they didn't run right back into the house. They went out and played with other kids and played at the park down the street. But actually seeing kids outside, that's not even really that common anymore. Once again, it's just difficult to get them out of the house. But once you do, a whole new world literally opens up for them. And it's not just getting outside, it's the exercise you get out there, the fresh air. It's all good for your system. It gives you stress relief. It gives you something to focus on. You know, when I'm stuck at work, in the office, in the nice air conditioned environment, doing physical therapy with all the individuals I work with, I don't necessarily have to be there. In my mind, I'm calculating, I'm figuring out, I need to process that locust. I'm going to get that done tonight. I'm going to get it through the splitter. And then tomorrow night, I need to get it stacked, get it up on the pallet so it's off the ground so it can start drying. Or maybe I'm figuring out a way to revamp the sawbuck to make it better. Or maybe I'm calculating my calendar for when we have to go out to the tree dump again and bring back more wood. That way we can get it processed on our day off. Or maybe I'm even thinking about one of these videos for Firewood Hoarders TV, figuring out what the next one's going to be about and kind of getting in my head the outline of the script. I don't know about you, but I really just kind of need puzzles to keep my mind busy, and Firewood's provided that for me. One thing that's really changed in recent years is society's outlook on masculinity. It's gone from being a desirable trait to one that we are supposed to suppress. But, working with chainsaws and splitting mauls and axes, wedges, cutting down trees, and, the danger that's involved in all that, it's really a way to channel our masculinity and use it in creative ways instead of in destructive ways, which is how it always seems to be portrayed on TV anymore. It's about being a positive role model for our kids and showing them hard work and teaching them, if you want something, you want to have nice things, you need to figure out a way to get them, because people aren't just going to give you everything you want for your entire life. A lot of kids, especially these days, are having a hard time wrapping their heads around the fact that you can't just have everything you want all the time. As I'm recording this, in the other room I have a whole stock pot full of fat that I've been rendering for 3 days on top of the wood stove. And we've probably been saving that up for 2-3 months now until we had enough to make the job worth it. We do a lot of things like that that's more in the old style, the way that our ancestors did it. And firewood's just another way that we can get back to our roots and connect with the past, And so Scotty Overkill and Pallet Pete and Master Mick and the other mods, they started this place, firewoodhoardersclub.com, and, Firewood Hoarders Club has been going on for a while, and it just kind of ties into that primal hoarder sense where you just keep amassing and people aren't even sure why you're doing it. They think, oh, you got 2 cords, that's good, that you're set for the rest of the year. You got 10 cords on your property. What are you saving up for, the apocalypse? It's just a way that we connect with other crazy people like ourselves, I guess. Even though we're not really that crazy, I don't think. Maybe we are. But, you can bounce ideas off other people and see other people's research and learn from their mistakes as well as your own. And we learn from each other's successes too, I guess. Anyway, that's all I really got to say on the subject today. Thanks for listening.